The Strait of Hormuz is not merely a body of water. It is the jugular vein of the global economy. A narrow, treacherous corridor where 1/5 of the world's daily oil consumption flows through a passage barely 21 miles wide. For decades, this geographic bottleneck has been the ultimate lever of power for regional forces. But in the dawn of 21st century warfare, geography is no longer a shield against the invisible reach of a superpower. The year is 2026. Tensions have reached a breaking point. Inside the command centers of the Iranian Navy at Bandar Abbas, the atmosphere is electric with anticipation. For years, they have practiced a doctrine of asymmetric defiance, planning to use a swarm of hundreds of fast attack boats and hidden coastal missile batteries to overwhelm any intruder. They believe that by saturating the air with dozens of low-cost targets, they can deplete the expensive interceptors of a U.S. carrier strike group. They believe their mosquito fleet is invincible in these crowded waters. They are wrong. At 9:37 a.m. local time, the strategic calculus of the Middle East is about to be rewritten. Far out in the Arabian Sea, the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet is not just watching. They are preparing a digital and kinetic execution. The goal is not a long, drawn-out war. It is a surgical removal of every meaningful naval asset within the strait in a single morning. This is not just combat. It is a clinical demonstration of autonomous warfare. To understand how this fleet will be dismantled, one must understand the tools of the modern predator. The primary scalpel in this operation is the F-35C Lightning II. Often described as a quarterback in the sky, the F-35C does not behave like the fighters of the past. It does not fly with its radar-screaming pulses of energy that broadcast its position to every sensor for miles. Instead, it operates in total electromagnetic silence. Using the distributed aperture system and the electro-optical targeting system, the F-35C can see in the dark, through clouds, and across vast distances by detecting the thermal signatures of enemy engines. It shares this data over a secure, low probability of intercept data link with every ship and submarine in the area. The F-35C creates a common operating picture, where every American commander knows the exact location of every Iranian hull, even before those hulls have finished warming up their engines. The executioner in this scenario is the AGM-158C LRASM, the long-range anti-ship missile. To call it a missile is an understatement. It is an autonomous, stealthy drone designed specifically to penetrate the most sophisticated air defenses. Once launched, the LRASM does not follow a simple straight line. It uses artificial intelligence to navigate around known radar sites. It uses passive radio frequency sensors to identify and classify targets autonomously. If it sees a civilian tanker, it ignores it. If it sees a destroyer, it calculates the most vulnerable point on that specific ship's hull, usually the engineering spaces or the bridge, and adjusts its flight path for a terminal impact that guarantees a kill. 9:55 a.m. The first movement is invisible. Deep below the surface of the Persian Gulf, a Virginia-class nuclear submarine receives a burst transmission. Within seconds, a series of vertical launch tubes open. Tomahawk Block 5 cruise missiles ignite, breaking the surface of the water in a cloud of steam before tucking their wings and hugging the deck of the ocean. These Tomahawks are not aimed at random buildings. They are aimed at the very heart of the Iranian response, the destroyer Sahand, and its sister ship, the Sabalan. These vessels are the anchors of the Iranian surface fleet, equipped with long-range anti-ship missiles that could threaten American carriers. As the Tomahawks approach Bandar Abbas, they are joined by the first wave of LRASMs launched from F-35Cs orbiting high above. Inside the Sahand, the crew is in a state of frantic preparation. They have detected the electronic jamming from an EA-18G Growler, but they cannot find a target to fire back at. The harbor is filled with the sound of sirens. Then, the first strike arrives. A Tomahawk missile, flying a complex route through the harbor's shipping lanes to avoid detection, strikes the Sahand's aft section. The explosion is massive. 1,000 pounds of high-explosive blast fragmentation material rip through the hull, severing the drive shafts and igniting the fuel bunkers. 90 seconds later, the Sabalan is hit. Because of the thick black smoke rising from the Sahand, the missile's terminal seeker must use a specialized infrared algorithm to distinguish the Sabalan from the burning wreckage next to it. The AI makes the decision in microseconds. The missile performs a high-G pop-up maneuver, diving nearly vertically into the Sabalan's bridge. In less than 5 minutes, the two most powerful ships in the harbor have been reduced to burning metal, unable to fire a single shot. As the main warships burn, the IRGC Navy triggers its backup plan. Hundreds of fast attack craft armed with C-704 anti-ship missiles and heavy machine guns swarm out of the hidden coves of Quesham Island. This is the moment they have trained for. They move in swarm formations, attempting to hide their individual radar signatures among the waves and the heavy commercial traffic of the strait. But the American response is already in motion. From the deck of the carrier, MH-60R Seahawk helicopters are deployed. These are the sub-hunters, but today, they are swarm killers. Each helicopter is armed with the APKWS, the Advanced Precision Kill Weapon System. These are low-cost, laser-guided rockets that turn unguided projectiles into precision-guided munitions. From the cockpit of a Seahawk, the pilot uses a laser designator to paint the leading Iranian boats. One by one, the rockets find their mark. A Bandar-class boat, traveling at 40 knots, is suddenly engulfed in a ball of fire as a rocket strikes its fuel tank. The American strategy is clear. Use low-cost weapons to kill low-cost targets, preserving the high-end missiles for bigger threats. Simultaneously, the Shahed Baqeri drone carrier attempts to launch a wave of loitering munitions. These kamikaze drones are designed to hover over the strait and dive into the decks of American destroyers. However, an E-2D Hawkeye, the eye in the sky, has been tracking the carrier since it left the pier. It directs a pair of Super Hornets to the location. Instead of using missiles, the Hornets drop a series of small-diameter bombs. These weapons use GPS and inertial guidance to glide dozens of miles to their target. The Shahed Baqeri is hit multiple times across its flight deck, preventing any further drone launches and effectively turning the carrier into a floating, burning obstacle. By 11:30 a.m., the battle has reached its climax. The Iranian flagship, the Jamaran, is the last major combatant afloat. It attempts to flee toward the open sea, protected by a mobile Tor M1 air defense battery positioned on the coastline. This is a dangerous moment for the American pilots. The Tor M1 is a deadly, fast-reacting system designed to shoot down incoming missiles and jets. A Navy pilot in an F-18 detects the Tor M1's radar lock. He doesn't panic. He deploys a HARM missile, a high-speed anti-radiation missile which homes in on the Tor's radar signal. As the Tor crew frantically tries to shut down their radar to break the lock, a 2,000-pound JDAM bomb, dropped minutes earlier from high altitude, erases the battery from the map. With its protection gone, the Jamaran is defenseless. A final SLAM-ER missile, controlled by a pilot miles away via a data link, strikes the Jamaran's engineering section. The ship's keel snaps under the pressure of the internal explosion. Within 10 minutes, the pride of the Iranian Navy settles into the mud of the harbor. The Strait of Hormuz falls silent, save for the crackle of fires and the distant hum of American jets orbiting at 30,000 feet. In less than 3 hours, a regional naval force has been systematically dismantled. The Mosquito fleet was swatted. The heavy destroyers were sunk at their berths. The drone carrier was neutralized before it could influence the battle. The strategic aftermath is profound. This operation proves that in the era of autonomous warfare, numbers and swarms are not enough to counter a force that possesses absolute situational awareness and precision. The United States Navy did not win through brute force alone. It won through the superior integration of sensors, AI-driven missiles, and a ruthless commitment to surgical precision. The Strait of Hormuz remains open. The global economy continues to breathe, but the world now knows that the Hormuz trap has been disarmed. The era of the silent predator has arrived, and the rules of naval engagement have been changed forever. As the sun sets over the Persian Gulf, the only thing remaining of the Iranian fleet is the black smoke drifting toward the horizon, a grim monument to the power of modern precision warfare.